All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mortgage Coach 10X Tuesday. For over 15 years, I've been interviewing badass mortgage professionals every Tuesday at 9 o'clock. I try to make it so this is truly an interview. It's one-on-one. I try to make it so more times than not, it's someone that's in the trenches right now. Sometimes it is an author, and we're talking high-level concepts. But today we have the number one mortgage professional in America, Shant Banosian. I think this is the fifth or sixth interview, and I really feel like I've gotten to know you pretty well. We've had dinner a couple times. It's good to have you here, Sean.
Oh, it's my pleasure, man. And I appreciate you doing this. I always appreciate hanging out with you. I think there's nobody that I've been on more than you. And you're somebody I hold in a high regard and consider you a great friend. So thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, brother. And the inspiration from this was you were the keynote. Well, you've been a keynote at a couple events. You've been a keynote at the mastermind event. You were a keynote at the Housing Wire, the Gathering. But I think you at the the last slide on the last presentation I saw was a lighthouse, right? And so
Yep.
I called this being the lighthouse. Like, and I do think we're at a time in a market where it's harder than ever to be a lighthouse. And I also think that the people that are the lighthouse in markets like the one right now are just picking up market share. Any thoughts you have on that?
Yeah. So think about what a lighthouse means, right? Like, you really need the lighthouse the lighthouse is there for when things are challenging, when things are dark, when you're looking for hope, when you're looking for guidance, right? And like, because, during the daytime, like, when it's bright and sunny and flat seas, like, the lighthouse is just kind of like more of like, oh, that's cool. But like when you really need the lighthouse the most, when it's like kind of pointing you in the right direction, where it's telling you kind of how to get home, where it's going to get you out of a tough situation into a good situation, right? Like that's when it really kind of matters the most. And to me, that's why I close with that. If you think about where we're at today, and this is the way I choose to see things, like I choose to see that our partners and our clients and our teams need us more than ever. If you think about what are some of the obstacles and challenges? Well, it's yeah, housing's affordability is a challenge, right? Homes are more expensive than ever, rates remain elevated. So how do you guide people and partners through that? Because if you guide them through it and they're prepared, confident, knowledgeable, they're informed, they're ready to make important decisions. If they don't understand those things, then they stay away. And we know how important getting into the housing market is in terms of just obviously personal fulfillment, but also wealth creation for our clients. So you have to be different than everybody else to be able to kind of show them how to navigate that and understand it, and understand maybe sometimes complex things in a really simple way, right? What are some of the other challenges? You've got it's really difficult to get an offer accepted on a house in most parts of the country. Demand far exceeds the supply of homes, and that's been the challenge for quite some time, and we foresee that to be the challenge in the future. So how do you help somebody navigate a difficult housing market where there's a lot of really good competition? One out of every three deals almost is a cash buyer. Maybe one out of the other three deals is somebody that's willing to waive contingencies. And then you've got, your clients that are competing with those type of people. How do you help them kind of, win and get their offer accepted, not just by paying the most? So how do you help somebody navigate that? And realtor partners as well. There's less inventory, big demand. So like a lot of times, we have all the same partners fighting over the same house, and like them successfully navigating their client to completion to success is important, but also for themselves, that could be their entire paycheck for the entire month. So how do you help them convert at a higher level, and how do you help them win? And then lastly, you've got the things like the NAR settlement, the uncertainty that's created, that's upon us in about a month. So how do you kind of really add more value than ever before to your partners to help them get through that? And then even for our teams, like if you think back over the course of the last couple of years, as great as 2020 and 2021 were, those were extremely hard. We all had to staff up, people were overworked, stress levels were high, going really fast. And then all of a sudden, you pull it back, you pull the e-brake a little bit, and all of a sudden things have slowed down. And then there's layoffs and cutbacks and cost reductions. And now, So there's that. So like, how do you kind of help them understand what the vision is, where we're going, what's going on in the industry, what's going on in the markets, give them a bright vision for the future and what our plan is to navigate it. So, so long-winded answer, Dave, but like, that's why, that's what some of our clients and our partners and our teams are thinking and going through. So we have to meet them where they're at. And we have to help lift them up. We have to be inspirational. We got to be, motivational. And we got to just help them navigate it. And so that's what, to me, why a simple picture of a lighthouse in the dark, in the ocean, guiding light means.
Yeah, well, it's never been more important to be the lighthouse. That also reminds me, we're not even a month away from AmpCon 2024, Renee's annual event. I'm going to put a link if you have not signed up for it. He always has the best clothes on with a lighthouse. You want to be the lighthouse. Go through some of Renee's training, and AmpCon 2024 is coming up. I think, is it August 16th? Um, yeah, I think it's August 16th. Yep, August 16th, back here in Dallas, Texas. So here's what I want to do. So I want to go through a process. I do want to pull out some of the principles and the values that help you be the lighthouse. But as you said, we are less than a month from the NAR settlement taking place. How are you doing? How is your production for the year? How are you guys performing?
Awesome, man. We'll be at 500 million funded by the end of this month. Right around August 1st, we should have surpassed $500 million in funded volume for the year. We should surpass where we were at in total production last year by the end of August. So like, we're going to have a great year. We're up big. We've done, we closed over $100 million in, I'm trying to get my months right. We closed over $100 million in May, just about $100 million in June. We should be up over 100 million again here in July. So we're cruising right now. We've increased our production massively, and I think it's the main reason for it is because of how we showed up over the course of the last couple of years for our partners and the effort that we put in. We've been all in.
So I want to put that in context, because not everybody is up year over year. And when you look at the market, I'm going to share a slide right now. This is 20 years of existing home sales in America. This is it. This is what it looks like over 20 years. And guys, this is what this year looks like. Like, it's not like the market is killing. And one of my all-time favorite quotes was, I'm not in, I don't follow the market. I'm in the activity, following just personal activity and things that you control. But I mean, those are really impressive numbers. What are you doing? Like I think it was last year I don't remember what month it was. I think it was May, and you'd already talked to more realtors by May of last year than you had the year before. What at a high level, what are you doing to win right now?
Yeah. I think, one of the things I talked about when we were at Mastermind was, one of my slides said economic outcomes are not based on economics, right? And if you think about that for a second, economic outcomes are not based on economics. It's purely based on the work you put in, right? Like, I'm not going to let the interest rates, inventory, all those things like dictate my success. So I decided to double down my efforts, and so like, if you look at 2022 to, 2021 to 2022, 2022 to 2023, this year, like, the market was down, 50% almost each year, right? I decided to, if you look at sales, as a result of inventory, I decided to ramp up my efforts 50% each year, right? So like, more real estate agent partner meetings, more events, more masterminds, more market updates. I've been out there more than ever. And same, I said that to you last year, and this year we've done more, right? So this year we kicked off the year at a high level we kicked off the year with our big event in January. We had over 1,200 realtor partners show up to the event. It was huge success. Last year we had our big event, 550 people showed up. So like, what that said to me is, our realtor partners out there that are out there like trying to figure out how to grow their business in the face of change, how they're trying to help their clients. They're starving for information. They're trying to look for answers. And we're obviously trying to be the solution. So, and then we did it when the NAR settlement thing came out. We put together another event 2 weeks later, from when we saw the settlement come through. We knew that we needed to do something, so we put a training event. 250 people showed up. The only reason we had 250 people there was because that's how big the room was. That was max capacity, right? Like, and then we've had a bunch of little events every single day. I'm hosting masterminds similar to like stuff that you're doing, Dave. Hey, what's working for you? What are some of the what are the things? What are the obstacles and challenges you're facing? And let's also talk about the things that are working on. What are the, we're coming up with different topics. We try to put together, like-minded partners that are in different markets that can share freely and confidently, and leave these meetings feeling confident. We're doing a lot of one-on-ones, one-on-one partner meetings, training sessions, masterminds, market updates, events. We're going out and having fun with our partners, building, it's people work with people they trust and like. And so we're trying to get to know our partners face to face, one-on-one. So like, one of the principles I had was get back to basics. Well, getting back to basics, at the end of the day, this is a people business, right? And so like we've gotten in front of our partners more than ever, hold them close, listen to them, meet them where they're at, and then try to be the solution. So I'm doing a lot of the same things. On top of it, we've upsized our marketing efforts. I'm on social media. I'm trying to be on social media with some sort of content almost every single day. We're sending out email communications almost every single day. We're doing like everything we can to stay in front of our partners and stay top of mind, and trying to be really, really loud especially when a lot of people are being pretty quiet. So like I've found that if I maintain or exceed my levels of communication, in person, using social, using email, using text, whatever it is, that in itself is a huge win, because most people are quieter than they have been in the past. So I sound even louder and I feel even louder, and it's allowed me to grab more market share.
What are you doing, if anything, specific to help your realtors prepare for the NAR settlement shifts? Is there any
Yeah.
just specific protocols that you're running, or specific things that you're teaching?
Yeah, I mean, specifically, like today, for example, I'm going to jump on with one of our top partners at 2 o'clock this afternoon with their whole real estate company to talk about, some of the changes from a mortgage standpoint. So like specifically, we're going to dive into the seller concession guidelines that they can utilize, we're going to dive into how we're going to verify, like some of the new things we have to verify in terms of like cash to close when they do have to pay buyer agency out of pocket. We're diving through, just trying to think of the agenda. So seller concessions, verifications on our end, and then loan to value guidelines where they can kind of reduce, when they can utilize the different down payment options, remind them on certain PMI parameters, all that kind of stuff. Like really just kind of very simple stuff, getting back to the basics in terms of, what is allowable and how we're communicating it to our realtors and our clients. So, but we're doing a lot of that. Like we're literally just re-educating them on the guidelines, which haven't changed, by the way, outside of like VA allowing for buyer agency to be paid, but like just kind of reminding them on what they can do and how they can navigate these changes.
And just a reminder to everyone watching this, we'll put a link to it. But I've interviewed both Jeremy Forcier and Daniel Saw on how are they preparing realtors. And there's just a lot of good tactics and strategies. More than ever, I'm seeing loan officers, especially with realtors, showing them, hey, let me show you how I'm going to be able to show NAR settlement commission options. Column
Yeah.
A is, hey, if the seller pays like they've always paid, we're good. Column B is, hey, if we could impact your down payment, and if you have to put a smaller down payment and pay for it. Next column, hey, if we have to raise the purchase price, and then worst case, you have to come out of pocket. But just giving people clarity is, I think, going to become really important. And I love what you said, making complex things simple. It's a hallmark of greatness. Well, let's transition a little bit. We've talked tactically. You're obviously killing it. I want to unpack some of the things you said from the stage at Mastermind. I can't remember the exact headline, but it was like X number of values that you have. And there were, what did you call them? Principles? Was it four
Yep.
principles?
Yep.
What was the headline of the presentation? Like the keynote?
It was, so the head, I mean, literally my core principles, which are, have always been, and I over and over and over again, get back to basics, focus on what you can control, outvalue your competition, and ultimately just like go all, yeah, I've changed a little bit to go all in on you. I used to say have a positive mindset, but it's more than that, because it's like, I would initially say have a positive mindset and like perspective, but like it's like, to me, it's not just like, okay, I'm going to be positive, right? Like everybody wants to be positive, right? But it's like so much more than that. It's like, how you treat yourself, how you kind of go all in on yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, to be prepared. Because like when you're working on all that stuff, then it's easier to be positive. It's not just like, you don't have to try as hard, right? Because like you're in a state of flow, and you're unbeatable, and that's more important than ever. If your mindset's off, if your self talk is off right now, you're done, right? Like in this business in real estate, and so I've ultimately decided to see this market, and I have for the last couple of years. Like, if you go back to even the first time you interviewed me, it was right around when things were starting to really, really change. And I was like, you know what? Like this market is going to be the greatest opportunity. And because I treated 2022 like that, because I treated 2023 like that, because I'm treating 2024 like that, it's working, right? Like, because it's not a quick thing. It's like, there's been so much change, and to show up and during those times is massively important. And I learned that back in 2007 and 2008, when things got really, really hard. That's when I started my business. And that's been the biggest gift I gave myself, to starting my business at that time, because it kept it really simple. Like if you show up when people don't know what's going on, and you really know what you're talking about, your advice is more important than ever. I always say that when things get hard, when things get difficult, we become way more important. That includes the loan officer, that includes the realtor, in the face of the client, right? Like if it's easy, they don't need us. When rates were 2.5, we were very, very transactional. Now it's all about, and it was all about speed. Today, it's all about service and value. And so that's what I'm trying to get out in front of people, and just make sure that, like, yeah, I can do speed. I can be available, but like really where I'm separating myself is the service and value.
I love that you said like this is a massive opportunity. I'm gonna show a slide and a quote from Tom Ferry. This is what Tom is saying to real estate agents from stage right now. This is actually a
Uh-huh.
slide from Keeping Current Matters. I'm 3 decades in this business. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. No different than when you look back over history, all great businesses, most of them started recessions, depressions, moments of change. This is not a recession or a depression, although I do know there are mortgage professionals that feel that way. But it is absolutely a moment of change. And so, guys, this is a mindset. And this is what Tom Ferry is telling to the real estate industry right now, yelling from the highest, towers from the Lighthouse. And so I hope you got that mindset. That is how Shant is operating.
Well, Dave, so like, there's no doubt about it. Like, in my opinion, 2022 and 2023 were recessions in the mortgage business, right? Like, they were, and like that's why I decided. And you could see that, you could feel it, you could hear it. I mean, look, the industry got cut in half, right? Like that's a recession. Like it might not have been a global recession, but the mortgage industry was in a recession, and like, and we're still getting out of it, right? But like, as inventory continues to rise, as mortgage applications go up, as refinances come back in, like we're getting back to normal. But like that's why I was like, all the growth, all the opportunity is in the hardest time. So yeah, I agree 100% with what Tom's saying, because it is, and it's been, I know, like, we've all seen the slides. I'm sure you probably have them, with the amount of loan officers that are left in our business, right? So that means that like when this thing accelerates, when those refinances come, I saw you post a really great slide or some sort of content last week or the week before about how many potential refinances there are out there. Well,
Mm-hmm.
all those people aren't going to be coming rushing back into the business, get relicensed and go to those. Like those are going to be left for us, and there's way less of us. So it's like the more business we do right now, and the more we show up, and the louder we are, we're going to be able to absolutely capitalize on that opportunity.
Yeah, and then I wrote down the quote. I mean, I actually thought about changing the title of this when we push it on YouTube. Go all in on you, and partially because I just know you so well. I know how much you've gone all in on yourself, and I feel like that presentation you gave, you went all in on unpacking your principles of success and unpacking those. Do you mind? Not that you can replay the magic that you did, but would you just kind of unpack some of the was it four principles? Is that what you called
Yeah.
them?
So absolutely. So let's do it. So like, look, here's what I believe. What I mean by go all in on you, right? My business will grow in direct proportion to my personal development, right? Business growth is internal, not external, right? I believe that 100%, right? So like, and that's what I meant earlier when I said economic outcomes are not a result of economics. Like if I grow internally, my business is going to grow. I'm not going to rely on external factors. And that's what I meant when I said my goal is to be the best version of myself emotionally, mentally, and physically. Like strive to be the best version of yourself through maintaining a positive mindset and perspective. So, I'm absolutely happy to go in on like some of the things we're doing. But yeah, look, I mean, I started with back to basics, right? Basics work. We all know it, like, and everybody, I always say we all know what they are, but everybody has a different way in the mortgage business to go out and get their business. I rely mostly on my real estate partners, and I mostly rely on communicating with my database of past clients and connections, right? So my basics revolve around increasing those things. But, if you get your business from SEO, or if you get your business from, other avenues, like, everybody's got direct, like different, but the biggest mistake is when we get away from the basics, right? Like executing what got you here. There's a lot of people that have had a lot of success that aren't having success right now. And it's either because they forgot what got them there, or they're unwilling to do the things they did to get here, right? And like I will say that there's nothing that I'm unwilling to do, and I'm very much doing the same things that I did back then. And foundationally, you have to look back, and you might be thinking right now, well, I kind of forgot. Well, sit down and think about like what you think the perfect day needs to look like to have success, or think about what your perfect day used to look like. What are your standards? What are your daily minimum standards? What are your weekly minimum standards? What are your quarterly minimum standards? Maybe you don't have any. We'll create some, right? And then, like sometimes we're looking for like this magic bullet, right? Like this secret sauce. Like my secret sauce is that I've mastered my mundane. I can make almost every single one of my days look and feel the same. And to me, that's my secret, is like every single day is pretty much like the same thing. Like there's not like, and it's not much different than it was last year or the year before that. Like I don't have this like magic program in the background that just makes it rain mortgages or leads, right? It's just the work that we put in every single day. And then, we're just, my basics, right? Like if you were to say like, my basics, the single most important thing that I do every single day is I focus on generating business. You can be, and some people don't like when I say this, but it's true, whether you're a realtor or a loan officer, you can be the most technically proficient loan officer. You could know every single guideline. You could know every single program. You could communicate it better to a client than anyone else. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are better at me than, like, quote unquote, being a loan officer, right? But if you cannot make the phone ring, right? And if you cannot make emails come in and you can't get people to want to work with you, it doesn't matter. So like to me, I'm focused on being a rainmaker, which to me means going out and generating business. And I'm focused on being the CEO of my business, which means growing my business. And how I do that, I focus on partner relationships, staying in front of my partners and communicating our value proposition over and over and over again. And then lead management and making sure I'm communicating with my leads. And to me, my leads are like my connections every single day in multiple ways, whether it's campaigns, face-to-face meetings, presentations, hosting events, entertaining, attending events, text and direct message, social media, online reviews, managing my CRM, and then, getting my scripts right, like knowing what I'm going to say when I'm meeting with somebody face to face on an event, on a presentation, and I'm doing that utilizing time blocking throughout the course of my day, week, and I'm very, very good at saying yes, and I'm also equally good at saying no. So that way I make sure I'm doing the things that are most important to me, my business, and growth. But like those are my basics, right? Like what I just said in the last minute and a half, those are my basics.
So what I want to do is I think we're in a market where people need to have a great value proposition that they
Yep.
can communicate well. And then if you're a producing manager on this, you need to make sure and go through and really audit your team's value proposition. You need to go a layer deeper and do that with your realtors and help them have a great value proposition. And hopefully for you to become a bigger part of that value proposition, if you really do this right and you optimize on that. And then it's like, how do you execute on that value prop? So I'm gonna play a 1 minute clip from the interview I did with Daniel Saw real quick. And
Yeah,
then
please.
afterwards, oh, go ahead. You were gonna say something?
No, no, I said go ahead and do it. Yeah, it's
Oh
great.
yeah, I'm gonna play this value prop. I want everyone on this to start thinking about what your value prop, like literally, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can put it on pause. And I want everyone, like, we're gonna hear Shant's value prop in a minute. We're gonna hear Daniel's. I want you to get clear on what is your value prop. So here's a little clip from the 1 hour interview I did with Daniel a few weeks ago.
Number one value proposition to a consumer is that you help them get a house. So what is the number one value proposition for a realtor to a consumer? Same thing, they help get a house. And so to us, right, when it comes to the value proposition to the realtor, how do we support realtors in helping a client get a house? And we do it by doing two things really well. Number one, we need to get people excited about buying a home. Mortgage rates are high, home values are high. So how do you convey the opportunity as to building equity? What does it mean to be a homeowner? How does that get people excited, right? And so you got to have a process to get people excited about buying a home. And then you have to have a process on how you coach your buyers on different ways to win against multiple offer scenarios. So my value proposition to realtors right now is when they send a client over, we're going to get them super excited about buying a home, and we're going to coach them on what it takes to win.
So to everyone listening, I've said it a lot, so a lot of you probably know this, but if you don't, Daniel's already closed 200 loans this year. His team, his region has become the #1 market share leader in Columbus, Ohio, putting Huntington Bank in #2, Rocket in #3 or 4, and his 40 loan officers are averaging 6 loans per loan or 6 loans per month per loan officer. So I mean, it's a winning value prop, and so I want to push everyone. Sean's going to share some of his thoughts on value prop. And Sean, I'm going to push you even a little further, like, hey, what are you doing? What are you telling realtors to do?
Sure.
And everyone workshop this. Like, let's upgrade our value props. So Sean,
Yeah.
what are some thoughts on this?
So thoughts. Yeah. So, I mean, this was principle number, it's call it 1, 2, 3, or 4. It doesn't matter. I'll value your competition. Right. And so sometimes, I think about these calls and somebody's like, all right, value prop key, it's like a word that businesses use, people use. And like, if you don't have, here's the importance of a value proposition. If you don't have a value proposition that you understand, that it's authentic to you and that you're able to communicate, you will be commoditized. If you have a value proposition, you will be differentiated. Okay. And this is why I always explain this, because I think it's important, because I can communicate the value proposition. I'm going to in a second, but a differentiated business, okay, it helps it increases conversion. You have an unmatched value proposition. So when people are comparing you, which clients are comparing us more than ever, right? It makes you hard to compare. It increases referrals. It makes price not as important. It forces the client to stop and think differently. When you're commoditized, it's price only, right? It makes you a slave to your business. The market dictates the success of your business. and you risk becoming irrelevant, right? So like that's how important it is to listen to some of these clips that Dave has and access to really great loan officers that Dave provides over the course of years, and listen to how they're communicating their value proposition, because otherwise, like value's going to separate you. Otherwise, it's a race to the bottom, right? And like we're all ultimately in this business to continue to grow our business and help people. And the more revenue you can bring in, the more profitable you can be, the better you can serve everybody. So, my value proposition ultimately revolves around a lot of the same things, right? That Daniel articulated, right? I want my clients, like my goal, like, I don't know if you can see my t-shirt, it says win together. We only win if my clients or partners win, right? So we make sure our clients are prepared and empowered, right? We're going to make sure that when they're entering the housing market, they understand everything. They're like a student, they're totally prepared. They understand their max approval, their payments, their down payments, their closing costs. They understand the difference versus renting and owning. They understand how home price appreciation works. They understand all the different loan products that are available to them and how they can structure their financing. Because if they're moving in a fast moving market, right, they need to be able to make decisions quickly. And if they already know their numbers and their options and they're prepared, they're going to act. If they don't, they're going to freeze and do nothing, right? And you don't win freezing and doing nothing. You win when you're on offense. So we make sure our clients are prepared, empowered, and confident, and they're on offense against their competition. Okay. We make sure our offers stand out. We have speed and appeal. I'm confident saying that we can close loans faster than anyone. In certain markets, we're closing loans in 8, 9 days, 10 days. We're issuing clear to closes in 1 to 2 or 3 days after loan applications are done. So, I said earlier, like, 1 out of 3 or 1 out of every 4 deals is cash. What do sellers like about cash? Speed and certain, right? So how can we make our clients have the same level of certainty and confidence, and to the selling agent, to the seller, that finance deals as good as cash, right? We go above and beyond. We're on the phone with the listing agents. We're on the phone with the attorneys. We're on the phone with the buyer's agents, telling them how great our clients are, how qualified they are, what our process behind the scenes look like, what we've done to prepare our clients. We're utilizing tools like our Power Bid program, which is our, pre-commitment letter. We're utilizing same-day mortgage, which, we're branding these things and we're communicating them. We're, putting marketing around them. And then you've got availability and access to me and my team, right? 24/7. If you need something at 9 or 10 o'clock at night, if you need something on the weekends, like we're always available. And like, so all those things, prepared, empowered, and confident clients, speed and appeal, certainty and confidence, going above and beyond, access and availability. And I go on and on about some of the more technical stuff that we unpacked, that stuff. Like that's my value proposition that I'm communicating all the time. And, you might be listening to that and being like, oh, that doesn't sound so, like I do the same things. Well, I can tell you that I do a really, really great job at communicating those on every single call, whether it's a client partner in every single meeting and all our marketing. And we're doing it over and over and over again. Because you can have the greatest value proposition in the world. You can be technically proficient, but if you're not telling people out there, that's not a part of your story, then, your phone's not ringing as much as mine is.
Yeah, guys, there were some words that he repeated multiple times: empowered and confident, speed and appeal, certainty and confidence, above and beyond access. So, and then I can guarantee you he's executing on that. He has built a brand that real estate agents, people in his database, they know that everything he said is real. Like it's consistent execution, and it's both the winning value prop, it's the way in which you can communicate that in a tailored way. Like I'm sure that when you hear Shant tell that value proposition to different customers, it's not exactly the same because it's tailored to the consumer. It's tailored to, the selling situation that he's in. But then he's, mastered the execution on it. And guys, that's why he's going to have the same amount of business done by the end of August. He said the end of August. So as he did all of last year, despite the fact that it's a little better this year. but it's still a really, really rough year. So the only way that happens, guys, is you gain market share. And the only
If you
way
don't understand where to start, if you're thinking about where do I start with creating my value proposition, it's literally simple, and again, I'm not like a super complex person, right? When it comes to my communicating or my marketing, right? Like understand the obstacles and challenges of your clients and partners, like write them all down, right? In whichever market you're in, understand the obstacles and challenges, and then figure out a way in which you can be the solution. And then, my hunch is that you're probably doing all the stuff already. So just start doing a really great communication of all the stuff you do behind the scenes already, right? There's a lot of really talented people out here listening. Start writing down everything you do every single day for your clients and partners, and just start telling the story about it, right? Sometimes we think it's boring or uninteresting. You'd be really, really surprised as to like how, people are busy with their own worlds. Like, they don't understand what we do behind the scenes, especially when we don't tell them. So like those are the couple places to start, and you've got to make them authentic to you. And Dave, you nailed something. I can say that I'm better at the execution part than I am at the communication part. I'll tell you that right now. And I would say that most people probably listening to this, Carl, hopefully are as well. So like you 100%, you can't go out and sell a value proposition, then not execute it and come through on that. Like you have to sell, you have to be able to come through on what you're selling out to your partners and your clients, like every single time.
love those. So guys, love the reactions that folks are using in Zoom. If you're watching this on social media and you're getting value, give it a like. We're a little past the halfway point. If you have questions for Shant, put those questions in here. Let's talk about what an opportunity this is to help agents right now, help them develop value props. I interviewed a loan officer in the state of Iowa, where a lot of these guidelines have already taken place. And he's been doing realtor workshops where he has the realtor write down on a piece of paper, hey, write down some of the bullet points that are part of your value prop. And then he'll go, someone raise your hand and tell me one of those bullet points. And, I'm a great negotiator. Does anybody else say that? Everybody's hands go up. Someone else. I'm a local market expert. And so what he's discovered, and what a lot of people I'm interviewing are discovering, is that most realtors don't have a unique value proposition that really speaks to the consumer. What are you doing to help your agents? And you said something that's got to be authentic to you. Like, guys, you couldn't write down Daniel Saw's value prop and just go, that's mine. I'm going to market with that. Like there's ownership and authorship. Like you may have some phrasing that talks about winning in multiple offer situations. And I do recommend that you have some phrasing around that. You should have some phrasing around, I help people get super fired up and clear about buying a home, but you've got to have your own phrasing. But what are you doing to help agents upgrade their value prop, and anything you're doing so that you're built into their value prop beyond what you've done in the past?
Yeah. So literally like, as a part of one of our masterminds, like literally, I'm giving you guys some of the stuff we're talking about in those sessions already. We're just literally like talking about, start with what you do. Like, and it's funny, like the reaction from people, it's like, I don't know how to communicate my value proposition. Okay, well, we all agree that like you're doing a ton of stuff behind the scenes during the course of a negotiation, during the course of a transaction, helping somebody market a property, helping somebody find a home, right? Like what I found personally, right, is I found that the real estate industry as a whole has done a really amazing job focusing on listing presentations and marketing for listings, right? But there's a massive void in buyer presentations, right? Like most real estate offices, not all, some of them already been working on it. Most people don't even have a buyer presentation, right? They don't even know where to start, right? So it's like, create your buyer presentation, get your scripting right. I know you've had Phil Jones on a couple of these calls, I believe in the past, just not too long ago. And obviously we were at Mastermind and we saw him speak, and he was amazing. And it's like literally know exactly what you're going to say when you go into these meetings, and know that the most common 10 or 15 questions that are going to come up in those presentations. Rather than acting surprised, be prepared to be able to deliver the answers to those things and proactively versus reactively, right? So I think what we're doing is, communicate, like literally write down your skills, write down the things you're great at, write down the tools that you have access to, right? And then put all those things in there, in those presentations. Even if, and what we found is that a lot of people will say to us, well, they know that, like, or that's what they expect, or they already know that. They don't. People are busy with their own lives, their own businesses. They have no idea what they should expect from a mortgage professional or real estate professional. They're relying on you to tell them that. And I can't tell you, and I say to these partners in these meetings, it's like, I normally, like regularly on a daily basis, I see newcomers or like part-time agents, or even just like people that transact at a much smaller level, take business away from really great agents that have been doing this for a very long time. I see it every single day. And I'll ask my clients, like, hey, why did you decide to go with that person versus the other person that has a proven track record? And it almost always comes down to that person, the person came in and did a better job of articulating their value proposition. They don't say it exactly like that, but that person came in and threw everything at them, the kitchen sink at them, with everything they're going to do for them. Whereas, like, sometimes we fall into the trap of like, oh, this person knows, like, look at my track record. They must know everything I bring to the table. And my challenge is, no, they don't. Like, they have no idea. They're waiting for you to tell them. That's why they're on the phone with you. That's why they're meeting with you in person. That's why they're on this call. You have to tell them every single time, and you have to have, like, you said earlier, I custom tailor my presentation to every single client or partner, but ultimately I'm just saying the same things. I'm just saying them in different orders sometimes. But I have my checklist of things I'm covering on every single call and every single presentation to make sure I'm doing a job of communicating and articulating what I really feel like I bring to the table. And I don't let somebody else dictate that conversation or drive the conversation. If they do, I always bring it back to like some of the foundational things that I make sure I have to mention in the conversations.
So, I am in a lot of the interviews I'm doing, I am seeing that showing people how to build net worth with real estate is becoming a bigger and bigger part of the value prop. I'm going to share a few slides. I already shared Daniel's value prop, but going from, hey, here's a fee worksheet, and showing net worth, like, hey, look at your real estate value in 5 years, in 3 years. And I think real estate agents need to do a better job of, because they're not just selling homes, which, by the way, home is amazing. Home is everything. But they're selling multi-generational wealth with real estate. And one of the things I'm passionate about at First Home IQ is educating families, that have equity, that, hey, you could help your kids house hack, help them buy a duplex, a triplex, and show them the net worth opportunity, and break down the options, show different, commission options. What are your thoughts on it becoming more and more important to go beyond, here's your rate, here's your payment, here's your cash flows, and show net worth as part of the value prop? Any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, I mean, couldn't agree more. I mean, if you look at a lot of our social media content, it's all around that, like showing them the power of homeownership, showing them how, like, literally teaching people how, like, what equity is and how it even is gained, whether it's through principal pay downs, through amortization, through appreciation, diving into things like the benefits of utilizing the IRS tax code for certain write-offs, whether it's a primary residence, second home, or investment property. Like, people want to make, for most people, buying a house is complex, right? Like, it doesn't come natural. We do this hundreds or thousands of times a year over the course of a long time. So it becomes easier because we're practicing. But for most people, it's a foreign concept. Like, what's the average person buy? Maybe like, 2 to 3 homes over the course of their lifetime, right? Like, if that. So like it's and then, if you think about it, listen to the talk track, right? Most of these people are getting advice from their parents, right? Or their friends that are also only buying 2 or 3 homes, right? Whereas, like, they have the ability to talk to somebody like you, and all you're talking to them about is an interest rate and a payment. Like, whereas, like, we're talking to them about wealth creation, equity, renting versus owning. We're talking to them about, like, when they're in a multiple offer situation, and they're bidding over asking price, and we're sitting there showing them, well, all right, well, here's what your home appreciation is going to look like over the course of the next 5 years, whether it's historically, whether it's forecasted, whether it's conservative. And like, we're making what can be like a really stressful process become much more like in tune with like, well, here's what should happen. Here's what the data says, right? We're constantly like using information and just like communicating, again, complex things into simple things where they can understand. Now people are getting excited. So yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And Dave, I've learned that a lot from like, the tools that, you've shared and others have shared that are like, just like, that stuff's really important. That's what separates you. That's value creation. That's differentiated. Commoditized is just rate and payment.
One of the things First Home IQ is doing right now is they're working on some messages to email a database, like, your database, to get the folks that have kids that have equity to start thinking of creative ways of helping their kids buy their first home. Have you done any intentional marketing to families in your database about house hacking and creative ways to help the next generation get into homeownership?
You know, uh, Not really, to be honest, but not because like
Would you
we're
be
just not
game
there
if
yet. Like,
Kristen forwarded you some ideas to?
yeah, I would absolutely. Yeah, like I'm always looking to learn and come up with new stuff. Like we're trying to email our database literally like every single day, at minimum 3 times a week. So like we're always looking for new content, and house hacking is like something that I know would 100% resonate with our audience. So like we should be doing that.
Or even, a duplex and a triplex isn't house hacking, but it is a way, I help my son as he's going through college, get a duplex, and, other families were paying for the mortgage, so we were, housing neutral, uh, as he was going to school. So just, ways that families can build wealth with real estate and get started sooner. Um, so let's see. So one person asked, well, actually a couple of people asked, are you willing to share any of your presentations? Don't want to put you on the spot, but if you are, let us know if there's anything you're willing to share.
Yeah. I mean, unfortunately, most of them are in person and they're not recorded, right? So like, I don't have like, all our stuff that you'll see on our social is a lot of the stuff that we're like communicating. Uh, but I don't have like I don't have like I'm thinking about like what we do have, we're not recording a lot of the stuff. So
And
yeah,
Shant's,
you're
and that's the other thing, guys. He's not a big PowerPoint guy. I mean, he uses assets, like he'll have some charts and graphs.
yeah.
But I also want to push folks. It's authorship is ownership. And the reason he can get up there confidently is because he's reading. He's like, oh, this is a really valuable insight. And because he authored it, he put it together. And guys, it's changing. What he's doing this week, or this month, is going to be different next month. So I want to push. And I know a new loan officer, Ashley, we do have a number of presentations in our YouTube channel. So there are some done for you presentations. Also, Ashley, you should check out firsthomeIQ.com. There's, done for you PowerPoints, but authorship is ownership. Like, use these tools. Keeping Current Matters is amazing. I highly advocate being a Keeping Current Matters member, and they have a free blog, the Keeping Current Matters blog. That content is mind-blowing, awesome. Housing Wire. I'm at the Housing Wire AI Summit. Shot will be speaking at the IMB Summit is it next month or 2 months?
It's in September or October.
Yeah, so it's a
Yeah,
couple
it's
months
with
out.
yeah. But yeah, I mean,
Hey,
Dave, you're
Housing
absolutely
Wire.
like, yeah, I mean, I'm jumping on that, people are like, I'm constantly just going online and searching for information, right? Like whether it's Mortgage Coach, whether it's, Housing Wire is a big one for me. Keeping Current Matters is a big one for me. Zillow, Redfin, I'm forgetting somebody, but whether it's
MBS
Altus
Highway. We
Research.
can mention MBS Highway.
Oh,
MBS
yeah,
great platform.
MBS Highway, CoreLogic, like, so like the Wall Street Journal, like, there's like 10 places that I'm constantly just going and just grabbing really powerful information and then making it a part of our presentation and having it flow and getting feedback from our partners as to what they like. And Dave's right, like I'm adapting every single month. Like I can't be communicating the same things I was communicating 4 months ago as the market's shifting in the fall market. So I'm redoing these presentations usually every couple months, sometimes every couple weeks, and just trying to stay relevant so people keep having me come back in. I should probably be recording them now that you say it, but it made me think. I was like, I'm not recording. I should be, but we're not.
And I don't know if you check out this one, but Todd Bellinger is a good buddy of mine and one of my all-time go-tos. I'm looking for slides and insights. It's called BorrowSmart University blog.
Yeah.
He's got these little chart storms. Do you ever use this one, Shant?
No, I didn't even know it existed. I'm going to write that down.
Yeah, I just put a link in chat. I highly recommend it. Todd is a pioneer in advice with price. He's now I think he's also a professor at the University of North Carolina, but just one of the smartest guys in mortgage. He's the one who helped Charles Schwab got in the mortgage business, helped Ameriprise start their mortgage group, was one of the owners of mortgage.com back in the OG days. And I've interviewed him multiple times. He really specializes in helping loan officers get business from CPAs and financial planners at scale. So check it out. All right, guys, we are in the last 9 minutes. So Shant, when you did your keynote, are there any, let's just call it core principles that haven't been covered so far?
Yeah. So, focus on what you can control, right? More than ever, people are going to talk to you about the same things over and over again, right? So I wrote down a list during that keynote of things that I can't control: interest rates, inventory, the NAR settlement, the Fed. People are going to talk to you about the Fed and whether they're going to cut or not cut, when that's going to happen, the economy, politics, right? You're going to hear a lot about everything that's been going on. Easy to get distracted by the election, what's going on every single day, the news cycle, and then you've got personal people. You got the crazy people in your life. You've got people that just want to, suck your energy out of you. And you've got to, you can't control any of those people. What you can control is your activities, your actions, your systems, your processes, your mindset, your vision, your strategy. Those are the things that you need to be working on right now, and that you've got to be holding yourself accountable to stay in the loop on. But unfortunately, what happens is people think about all the things I just listed off of the things you can't control, and think about most of the things that you're talking about on a daily basis. Most people are focused on all those things, the things that they can't control, where the really special ones are literally systems, processes, effort, activity, vision, mindset, strategy. That's the difference between high level performers in any line of business, right? Focusing on things they can control. So I would challenge you to take 3 things from your mind space and eliminate them, right? That you're just done with. And it could be 3 people, it could be 3 things, right? And then I challenge you to take 3 things that you're absolutely that you can control, that you're going to commit to, right? Because it's impossible, not impossible, but it's really hard if you try to chew off the whole thing. And it also, I can tell you, it's if you ever read Atomic Habits, right? It's easy to start stacking wins, right? But start with 3 and 3 things you're going to eliminate, not allow yourself to talk about, and 3 things that you are going to control. This morning, I woke up this morning and I made a commitment to myself. I was like, you know what? I'm done with all the politics. I'm done with listening about it. I'm done with seeing it on my feed. I'm done with having conversations. It was taking up 20 to 30 minutes of my day just in the last 2 weeks with all the stuff going on. I was like, I'm out. I'm done. That's too much. I don't want to read about it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to talk about it. I have my family, I have my business, and I have my, the great things that I can do this summer. And literally I woke up this morning, I was like, I'm done. It's over. I'm not going on Twitter. I'm not doing any of that stuff anymore. I silenced all the group text chats and all that kind of stuff. So I don't even see them anymore. And I'll see what happens in November, and then I'll move on real quickly after that as well. But it was, so I'm not perfect by any means, and I never said I was, but little things will creep into your life, and then that start taking up energy and mind space, and I noticed it, and I'm holding myself accountable to it. And now you guys can all hold me accountable to it.
Boom. Yeah, that was a powerful close, my brother. And we need to make a little piece of micro content around that. one of my, first of all, it's in my top all-time favorite books to read, but it was my book of the year last year, which was The Gap and the Gain. And, I wouldn't be surprised if you read it again, but any book that you're reading right now, or any books that you think folks should be reading right now?
Yeah. What am I reading right now? I
Or could
just
just
finished,
be your top book of the year, like what's
yes, my two, what I actually read this morning, which was amazing. And I just, something called me to it, was Courage is Calling by Ryan Holiday. Right. So like, and and The Obstacle is the Way. Like if there's like two like simple reads, like every time I read those, it just gets me like to where I need to be. And it's always so easy for me to relate it to what we're doing in our business. Right. And so um that's what I would read.
All right, so I'm going to close it out here, guys, with some thoughts for everyone. So, that there's a lot of directions I could take, go all in on you, but I think if you could, really think of the rest of this year is the opportunity of a lifetime. If you are in mortgage and you support realtors, if you are in real estate, it is truly a special opportunity. And one of the things I think you could do to go on you is document your own personal code. So when you delivered that presentation, you had documented your code. You had been like, these are the values, these are the concepts, and you had documented it. And one of the things that I did, my son graduated from college in June, and I knew that whatever note I would write him, he'd read it. Like, let's face it, when you have teenage kids and 20-year-olds, they're not reading every text that you send them. They're not listening to all of your wisdom. But I'm like, he's graduating. I know he's going to read this. And I watched a couple commencement speeches, and it started off just being I was going to write a simple, easy to read letter. But what I came to the advice I gave to Jack was have a code, like write a code for yourself. And you started that. I'm not going to share this document publicly, so I'm not going to give a link to it right now. I am going to write about this in LinkedIn, but I took some time, and my one piece of advice to my kids was have a code for success that impacts your happiness, your fulfillment. And then and these aren't necessarily in order, but I just took the time, get better, never bitter. Some of these things you'll recognize, I had have fun, play loose as one of my pieces of my code, but I wrote this code. And so instead of giving him advice, I'm like, you know what? Create your own code. And then I said, and this is my code. Like, these are the things that I've adopted over a lifetime. And I ended up, and by the way, I went to an event last week and I added code number 15. I can't remember who it was, Rory something, but he said, people don't pay for information. They pay for how it's organized in the application. And Hermosi said something like that too last week. And then I started thinking, you know what? I built my whole career on my advice makes a difference. And that's what led me to creating Mortgage Coach, how I would organize information for value. That's what led to creating this Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, which has been a hallmark of success of Mortgage Coach. So my close for everyone is spend the next 2 weeks documenting your code. Like, I don't care if it takes you 1 hour. I don't care if it takes you 20 hours. Go all in on you and create a document for you. If you've got kids that you think will get something from it, write it for them. But go all in you and document your code. Shant, you got a minute. Any closing thoughts, bro?
We covered a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. I mean, I think there's a lot of people right now. It's middle of summer. There's a lot of reasons as to like why you could coast and just kind of wait for the fall market to kind of really kick in, or you can work on that code. You can work on all the systems and processes. You can work on your vision. You can work on your personal and professional mindset and goals over the course of the next like 4 to 6 weeks. So that way by Labor Day, you've got a plan. So like if your business is slower in mid-July and August, then go all in on you, right? And try to figure out all the things that you need to be doing to get your business to where you want it to be. and make sure you have metrics around, like, you know, how you're going to hold yourself accountable to it. Don't wait until September. Don't wait until the spring market. You know, it's too late at that point, right? You've cost yourself time and money. So figure it out now. It's always better. So start small and just keep stacking W's.
Yeah. Also, before I forget, I almost forgot, we started marketing Scriptapalooza. So we'll put a link down below. That is not to be missed. We're going to have Phil Jones is going to be moderating the event this year. So Todd and I will both be on it. We've got 6 amazing mortgage professionals. Check out, we'll sign up for Scriptapalooza. It's free. Don't miss it. Shant, you crushed it as always. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks for having me.
This is a wrap. Take care, everybody.